Hi everyone, my name is Rizal, and I'm currently working on the SAP as a DevOps engineer / full stack developer. And I also have the interest in teaching part. That's why I joined this is Stockholm Academy as a part-time that I can spend some time in here. And yeah, let's start with our today's agenda. I think let me share my screen first. Can you see my slide?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay, I think I should. Yeah, I think now we can see my slide.
Yes.
So I'm jumping with the presentation mode, and what's happening? Oh, yeah, I know that. Okay, just to go through the first slide. I'm not going to the presentation mode because I need some security stuff right now. I know that. So let's start with the agenda for like what we will do in this session and the next week as well. So first, my first task is to that give you the proper knowledge about like how developer have the experience about the all stuff like from the scratch, how you can make your APIs, how you can make your front end or whole application, and then how can you maintain those stuff, and which tools we should use for maintaining those stuff, and how we do it in a developer and also the production team. So my first day, which is like today, so we will discuss about the backend, and next day I will tell you about the front end, and next day means like the next week about the front end, and then we will jump on the DevOps and backend in a sense that total knowledge about like the API. So I will implement API, and I will show you that how you can make a RESTful API, and why we actually need those APIs, and how can we connect those APIs with each other. And then we will see that the CRUD operations, like the CRUD operations, like the create the table or the user, and then the read, you can read the user, and then update, you can update, and then delete, you can remove the user from the database or which collection you are using. And then for this implementation, I will use Node.js and Express because it's popular and really useful tools for making a RESTful API. And Node.js is actually everywhere. You can think about like Node.js and Python. Both are the like the big bang in developer industry. And then next day we will see that today I will implement the APIs, and next session I will integrate those APIs with the front end, and you can see the full overview of full stack. Like you can see the React or whatever front end tools you are using, and then you have a backend based on Node.js, and then you can connect all this stuff, and you can make a full stack application. Yeah, I know it's a simple application. It's a CRUD, only a CRUD application. It doesn't make, it doesn't give you any user experience like the UI, a nice view or nice stuff. No, it just saying you that, hey, you can just learn those stuff, and you can jump on the nice, at least one full stack application. Then you can modify it. You can change your design, you can change your APIs based on your own requirements instead of only the CRUD. So that is total agenda. And the most important part is like DevOps, that I believe not only backend developer or not only the front-end developer, even not the tester as well, everyone needs DevOps concept, because all modern companies, they're actually migrating from manual to the automation, or the like the huge amount of application deployment scenario. So for huge in a sense, I'm saying like one day or 1 minute they have a like 100 deployment, or you can think about 100 release pipeline. So 1 minute they release 100 application. So for this, one person cannot do that. So you need a whole pipeline, because like there is 100 of developers, 100 of tester, so they're working hard. So you cannot manage without any pipeline. They have to push, and you have only one pipeline they can only release, and all test cases are there, and they pass the test cases, and it's on the release portion. So we have a 3-stage in developing of a big or complex application. First is dev stage, then prod stage, and the release stage. And for this, we need a build pipeline. So we will discuss all this stuff in a DevOps session, and I will try to make a view of whole CI/CD pipeline, but it's really hard to implement in a live session, because I need to at least build our application in four times, like when I push the code in the Git and then all stuff. So I will try to make a pipeline in front of you in the DevOps session. So here is our agenda that I will go through the whole like 2-day session. And let's start with the full stack. Can you see this picture? I think,
Yes.
yeah. Okay, perfect. So I think this is a popular picture actually. When you search full stack in browser, you can see always this picture. But behind the scene, I have to say something about this full stack picture. See, one man, he has a power of, he has like 2 hands, he has a power of like both sides, the client side and the server side. Client means the people who are actually watching your application. Like now you are watching my slides, and you are seeing there is a browser, and the browser is actually have a domain called docs.google.com. Suppose this is the website, and this website have only this picture. So you are seeing this picture inside a website. That means this whole things what you are watching, this is the client side. And now the point is how it comes in front of you, who gave you, that is the point. And that is coming from the server. Then server is giving you. How server does, it's a big things you have to understand how server does. But in a sense that that is someone who actually sitting in the internet, and he can take instruction from you, and he can process it and give you the result. That is the overall in general view how server works. That means your client is actually is your like the designing part. How you want to see your list, how you want to see your image, like square image or a circle image or whatever you want to see. This is your client. And the generation who actually make this picture, and who actually take this picture from the server, from any of the database or any of the other services, it's actually by server. So we as a developer split it as a 2 side. One is backend, because you cannot see the server, you only see the result of the server, and the client, which is the front end, which is actually in front of you. So you can only interact with your front end, and front end send the request to the backend. And backend server or backend whatever you are using, they have the process, and the process is based on your instruction. Now, what is the instruction? Client is sending that, hey, I want to see my picture. Server will say, okay, sir, I'm taking your request, I'm processing that. Okay, what picture you want to see? JPG picture. Okay, I will take this JPG picture. picture and I'm showing you, and you can see your picture in front of you. And this process is taking like below of 1 nanosecond. So that's why you just click it and you see your picture. But behind the scene, there's a lot of stuff it's going on. So here this is actually the overview of this picture, and you can see front-end client. You can choose whatever tools you want to use, and based on your own requirements. Suppose what is the requirements? Like client said, I need an application which has a front end, is a dynamic front end, because I might be change something, I might be implemented a new feature. So we call this iteration part, we call it as a agile. So if it is on the agile, so you have to monitor that how complex your front end development. So you have to make a nice architecture of your front end, and then you have to send the whole connection to the backend, and backend will take care of this instruction, this connection. So that's why you can use tools which actually have some architecture, or you can use a vanilla, which is which is actually based on the developer. If I am a front-end developer, I will choose based on my requirements. I cannot say that, okay, I'm a React developer, so I'm doing everything in the React. No, there is some variation. You can use Angular as well. You can use Vue as well. You can use vanilla JavaScript. I mean, nowadays a lot of industry also use vanilla JavaScript, and also HTML, CSS, because it's a simple application. It's a one-page application. Why you need like something you cannot bring a big knife for cutting any of the fruits. You need a small knife to cut your fruits. So that's the issues. It depends on your requirements, which tools you are going to use. As well as the same thing happens in the backends. You see, there's a lot of backend tools you can use: Node.js, Python, ASP.NET, PHP. Those are also the backend tools. So it depends on your requirements. So how complex your project, which tools is give you the more efficiency and more architecturally benefit for your application. So that is actually the things you have to remember, and you have to make sure that everything is working based on my requirements, based on our client's requirements. So here is the picture saying this kind of stuff. And then we have a backend part. Now, let's start with the thinking of some sort of architecture stuff. Okay, now the important part is that which architecture and how can we define our architecture. So architecture, in a sense, we can say the connection of all nodes. Now here's the components and nodes. There's two different stuff in the developing side. So in generally, you can think about work. So if you think that I want to make an e-commerce website, so how many things I have to take care? I have to take care of the cart, I have to take care about the payment, I have to take care about the products, and I have to take care of the details of the products. So I have 4 things to take care of. So I can put all these 4 things in a one database, or I can put this 4 stuff in a different database. So now so putting one database and putting in a different database, that is comes up the architecture. How can you design your architecture? So do you need like a 4 database, or do you need only one database based on your load? So that is the things that you have to understand. The popular 2 architecture, which is microservices and monolithic architecture. Now let's start with the monolithic. Monolithic means it has only one database, and the layer or application interaction, it's based on only one flow. So it's really easy. You can implement it in a good way, good manner, and you can iterate it with a single sprint or single single iteration. So that is really really easy to implement, easy to maintain, easy to collaborate. So that is called the monolithic architecture. That is the positive signs of this monolithic architecture, but it has a big what do you say, like negative impact, which is single point of failure. That is a really big issue for developing a new application. You know, all the big companies, big applications like Facebook, Netflix, or those kind of stuff, all these application, they had previously a monolithic architecture. Now they jump on the microservices. Why? Because monolithic have the big issue, which is single point of failure. So what does it mean by the single point of failure? It means that you are trusting only one server, like you are using only one database. If this database is collapsed, or if database or if the data center is gone, your whole application will be dropped. So there is no way to roll back. There is no way to have the backup database. So it's called, I mean, it's cost a lot as well. So that's why people are migrating from monolithic architecture to the microservices architecture. Now, see, microservices architecture is only defined as a distributed architecture. So what does it mean by the distributed architecture? Distributed architecture means that you have your whole application in a distributed way. So you have your own application, like I said, that products, payments, card, and also the details. So see, products and product details, you can put those two things in one database, and you can deploy it anywhere in the world. Anywhere you can deploy it. And you have the card, and you have the payment option. So you can take you can make a payment option, and you can deploy this payment option in other hosting server. And then you have the card option. You can take the card option from anywhere. So you have a fourth thing. So if somewhere the product details is not working, then it's only dropping only the product details page. So people are who is only watching your product and who having the payment or card option, they cannot bother about your product details. They only can take the flow, and then they use their query, and they can get the results. So your application is still alive. It's not dropped yet. And if one of the services from these 4 services is dropped, it's not hamper your whole application. So that is a big plus point in here. So that is the more microarchitecture or microservices comes up, and it can help you to implement this kind of stuff. Now, here is a point: which architecture we should follow in our applications, because we can make application based on monolithic, and we can also make the application in microservices. So the point is, actually, all microservices have the monolithic inside the microservices. So if you see this picture, you can see the microservices everywhere. You can see the microservices. But before the database layer, you have a layer which is called business layer, which is actually interact with the database layer. So that is also a monolithic architecture. So a bunch of monolithic architecture make a microservices architecture. I think you got my answer, right? Anywhere?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. So that is the microservice and the monolithic. Then let's start with now here is a front end. Now front end, it's mostly depends on the designing and the user experience. Okay, now I can say what is the designing and what is actually the user experience. So I will tell you deeply in the next session, but now I just give you the primary overview of the UX and UI designing part. So UX means that user experience, and UI is the user interface. So user experience, someone said that UX/UI, it means that both are the same. Not likely same. It's it has some differences. User experience means how user can interact with your applications. Like somewhere you just say that, okay, you just finish with the payment and you click the payment and user is just waiting for the response, but you already get the order, you already have the notification and everything, and user also have the email, but he doesn't know that. So that is the lack of user experience. And you have a nice UI, you have a nice front end and nice architecture and everything is good, but user is waiting for the response. You're not able to, your application is not giving any response that, hey, can you go to the email for final checking, or you can have your receipt inside your email. So that is a lack of user experience. So I think you got the difference, that user experience and the user UI maker, they have a nice design pattern, they have a graphic designing, and they have a nice component explanatory. They can give you a proper view, but there is some leakage of user interface, because they are not actually having the experience of user. How can user interact? User experience, they also have the knowledge of UI, but they have a little bit advanced, that they can see, they can put themselves as a user, that I am a user, so I'm watching, I'm visiting this website. Now what kind of things I have to do, what kind of things I am missing right now. So that is the user experience and user interface. And now here is the DevOps part. So DevOps is a little definition from my side. It's not actually the definition. I don't like the definition. The first thing is just why we need DevOps. This is the main question, why we need DevOps. So see, we have our application. We need to put it on a everyday release. So what does it mean by everyday release? I think most of you maybe know about the agile policy or agile method. It's something like you are implementing a single story and you can just push it daily basis. So after 1 week, you have your first demo project, then you can iterate it in a larger, then it's called like the simple to the complex. So you're starting with a simple application, and then you make this application, same application, as a complex pattern. So that is called the continuous, that is called actually the iteration part. So how can you maintain those stuff? Because every week you have your new deployment. Every week you have your new push, because the previous developer, the developer have a new push, and you have a new release. So every time you cannot do it by manually. So what you will do, you will make a pipeline, and this pipeline will connect your release or operation or prod team with your dev team. So dev team can only push the code in any of the version control system like Git or GitHub, GitHub or Bitbucket or GitLab. So they push the code. Suppose they push the code in the GitHub. Now GitHub have some automated tool, and then they can build the application, they can test the application, and they can just put the application to the production team, and the production team will take care of that, the rest of the things. So that is the actual pipeline. It's happened automatically. So no one need to just sitting on there and, hey, can you give your code? I will put the code in the production team. No one need this. It will happen with the continuously. So that is the DevOps. We'll talk about this DevOps briefly in our DevOps session. Now I want to show one more thing, is that Jenkins. I said one word called build. So let me spend some time on the build stuff. Sorry. What does it mean by the build? Build means that you have your application in your high programming language, which we are using, like Node.js, Python, or whatever. It's called high level of programming language. So we know that our computer or our CPU or our processor or even our server, all these things understand only the binary part. Binary means like 0 or 1. They don't need, they do not know about your, like you are saying that HTML, or you are saying that Node.js, they didn't know that. Server doesn't recognize this stuff. Who then how can server process this stuff? Actually, server process this stuff based on the build. So who built it, your application? Node build your application. That's why we call it Node.js. So Node build your application to the binary format, and it will deploy to the server in your local instance. Now with the complex things coming up. No local instance. Local instance means you have to install Node. Any of the agent who can actually build your stuff. So any of the agent means we are using Node.js application or Node.js programming language. So Node.js is actually your agent who can actually convert your high-level programming language to the binary format. So you need a Node.js which can actually convert your language to the binary format. So that's why we are following some Node.js instruction which can actually give the Node.js flexibility that he can convert everything to the binary. If we are using suppose Java syntax inside the Node.js cannot find the exact solutions. So that's why he cannot able to convert it into the binary format. So that's why we need exact Node.js syntax, and we need to install Node.js. And then whatever we are writing based on the Node.js syntax, then Node.js can automatically, we have to run it, and then Node.js can build it into binary, and then the binary option will be deployed in any of the server. So now, what is actually the server in here? Server who can hold your binary, and he can process those binary inside his own mechanism. So we need one server. So in our application, when we build API, we have the one server which is called express.js, and it's a good thing that express.js is also a JavaScript library, and Node.js is also a JavaScript library. So they have own binding itself. So we don't need any other connector which can actually connect this. If we use any other server, most of the people know about live server. So if we use live server and we are using Node.js program, then we need to connect Node.js with the live server. But in Express.js, we don't need it because both are in the same field. Both are in the same sharing files. They have their own connection. So we don't need this stuff. So build means we have to convert this all stuff into a binary format, and then it will deploy. In this picture, you can see when we push our code, we are not pushing our Node.js, the file like install file. We cannot push our install file inside the GitHub. Even we can see a node modules, a folder. It's a big folder and it's a heavy folder. We cannot push either the heavy folder as well. So how my files will be converted into a binary format? Here is a comes point of Jenkins. Yeah, we can use a GitHub action, Git action, and also there is a Circle CI, and there's a lot of tools we can use it for the build option, but the popular one is Jenkins. So what Jenkins does, Jenkins take your all files from the GitHub, and he can build, he can convert this all stuff based on your instruction that you are saying inside the Jenkins. Hey Jenkins, I need a Node.js first install. I need a Node.js installed in my application, and then you have to run my all files. So Jenkins will say that, okay, sir, I will install Node.js first, and then I will go through the all files. So Jenkins will say, hey, I need this Node.js. So he will install Node.js, and then he will trigger all the files which you have in your GitHub. So you don't need to say that, or you don't need to push your Node.js MSI file or any of the Node.js file that need, Node.js to install inside the GitHub. So Jenkins will take care of that. So then if you build application, then you need a most important, most important container. We can explain this container later on in the DevOps part as well. But just thing is that if you want to send the binary file to the production team, so you need someone who can actually hold the binary file, not the GitHub folder or GitHub files. They need a binary file. So you can send the binary file to the production team. So now see how easy this one. Production team doesn't need to bother about your Node.js or Angular or whatever you are doing. Production team only take care of this binary file, and he can run the binary file inside his environment. So it's so easy to transfer your files from one stage to the another stage, and it will run over there, and it has a good response from the complex application as well, and also the microservices. So now we can see that you can deploy. You don't need to deploy your whole application. You can deploy a smaller feature in a separate services or separate hosted server, and then you just connect those hosted server each other, and you can have your own stage, and you can have your own release pipeline, and you can just push there, and it will trigger and it will release. So it make developer more easy, more efficient to work on that and make the whole environment in a good manner. So that is actually the CI/CD calls. CD means that's continuous deployment, and CI means continuous integration. Yeah, I know everyone knows this one. I'm just saying that if I'm not saying CI/CD the full form, then it is a bad manner for me. Well, so yeah, this is the whole stuff about the agenda. I think for this agenda, any of you have any question, ask me. I have like 5 to 10 minutes to answer your question right now. Then I will jump on the API implementation.
I don't have any questions, but I have only one question: that are we going to push whatever the code we are going to write now to GitHub?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, okay, then I think from then only we will deploy it to Heroku, right? From GitHub to
today I'm not deploying the application inside Heroku. I want to show them that how front-end deployment and also the back-end deployment is going on. So okay, that's why I will take this part in the DevOps session, and they will see the pipeline.
Okay, cool. Yeah, if no one has any questions, we can jump into the actual implementation.
Okay, done then.
Yep.
So here is the first. I told you that we need an agent who can actually convert this whole stuff. So the agent is, we are using Node.js. So you can say Node.js is a programming language. It's not an agent, right? No, Node.js is a programming language. We are using the instruction of that agent. So how can we find this Node.js? So we can go Node.js downloads, and you can see that the first is nodejs.org. You can click there, and based on your operating system, you can choose whatever you want, like Windows, Mac OS, and also the Linux part. I think, yeah, here is the Linux stuff. So you can just download it and install it. And if you have the Windows, then it's really easy to install it, because it's just straightforward, next, and then finish. And for Mac OS, you need to put the app file to the application folder, and then it will work from there. I think it's pretty straightforward. If you have an issue, then you can just Google it. It will get the answer from there. So yeah, I think so. You can find the Node.js from here, and when you're done with this Node.js, you can just go your terminal and check that node / version. You can see some version like V and whatever, 16, 13, 17. I think latest is 17 point something. Sorry, 18 point something. Well, and then you have to check one thing, npm version. Now, what is this npm version? So Node.js is our agent, or it's a compiler, you can say. It's a compiler. I'm not actually using the compiler word because of compiler make someone's confused, it's a translator. The more useful word is translator. So Node is actually a translator who can convert your whole application or whole instruction to the binary. And npm is actually a package manager. So what is actually the package manager? Package manager, that like when you start with your application, you need a lots of things. Like you need like HTTP for the request handling. You need some JSON converter because all files from the browser to the server, it's coming as a, you can think about it's coming as an XML file or a CSV. Maybe it's the CSV file, maybe it's on whatever. You cannot know. So for this purpose, you can just implement you need a converter like JSON converter or object to JSON converter, so those kind of stuff. So for taking those libraries, you need a package manager. So npm will give you this ability. So you just say npm, hey npm, can you give me the JSON converter, body parser or course or Morgan or I mean, whatever you want, the libraries, Axios, those libraries. You just say npm install this library, and npm will install this in your local environment. And you can also trigger it in a dev environment or local environment. So that is the npm. So it's a package manager. Guys, if you have any question during this whole implementation, just write down your question and ask me after this implementation when it's complete. So just write down the question. So yeah, so that is the node is our agent and npm is our the package manager where we can get our packages. Now let's start with our application. So first, what I will do, like see, you need to make an application. So before making application, you need a folder. So I can just write a folder mkdir. Okay, let me just go to the desktop. So and then and here I can make a drive, a folder called SITA API test, and you can see, yeah, SITA API test is here. So just get in SITA API test. Now here I want to say npm to initialize my application. So you can see this folder is empty. Now, if I want to make my application, so I have to take something from it's called like the base project. Like I have to initialize my version, I have to initialize my application, I have to initialize my my license and all this stuff. So what I will do, I will make that npm init, and you can see it can ask me something. Like see here, you can see package name. You can mention your package name. For my side, I'm just going as a default one. Then you can see the version one. So which version you are using. For currently it's 1.0.0. So now think about, you make your application first time, and then you have a new iteration, you have to add a new feature. So that time you can say that it's a second version, so you can change your version at that time. So the whole pipeline or whole deployment can track your version control, like the first version what you have, like the second version what you have. If you have any issue with the latest version, then you can roll back with the previous version. So that is the most important tracking system for this npm. And I'm going to the default one, and yep. So entry point is index.js. You can change the entry point based on your requirements. And if you have any test command, you can just put the test command. If you have any description about your application, you can just put it over there. It's just initialization, nothing else. So if you have pre-repository for Git, so then you can just assign it in here. Then some keywords which can actually find your application. You don't need to bother about author, who is actually the owner, or who is actually the producer of this application, not the developer, because producer means the whole stuff. And then you have the license, if you have any license about for your applications, and bingo, all is done. You have your files. So let me see which file we have. We have a package.json file. That is good. Let's start with the our VS Code. Here is our VS Code. And let me set something. So I have to go my VS Code. I have to go the folder via the VS Code. So how can I go that? Open folder, and then I have a desktop, workspace, and then I have my, is that the same? Just open it. So it will open my package.json file. Let me go through this package.json again. So see, it's a simple initialization file. That's why I said, hey npm, initialize a file for my application. So that's why I need an empty folder, and I said npm make the initialization file. Now you can just think about package.json. It's my first file. That means whatever I'm doing in my project, all these things have to track via the package.json. That means when I say node run this application, so node will first take care of the package.json. It is his script. It is his instruction for the Node.js that, hey, I have to follow this instruction. Everything have to be defined in this instruction. Without declaring this without having any of the name in this file, I cannot track these files. So I cannot understand what the file names, whatever you are using, if this file name is not in here. So that's why you can see in here, we say that the main file is actually this index.js. It is just an initialization. You can change it right now, or you can change it based on your project requirements later on as well. So we have a scripts file. So I will show you that how can you generate your like the instruction inside this scripts file a little bit later. So now I need one more file, because we have to declare everything or express, or we have to run the server via a .js file. So that is our index.js file. Okay. Index.js file. Here it is my index.js file, and I'm start my coding from here. Now, before, okay, I will show you later about the package.json. So now I need some libraries which can actually help me to build the API application. So what kind of libraries I need? Let's go my terminal. Let's start with the first thing. I have to define my server. So I'm saying npm install, I means install, and then I'm saying express. And then I also need a new tools called Morgan. Okay, now what is the Morgan? Morgan is actually tracking the logs of your applications, of your request. So now I think, what is the request? Request means if someone from the front end needs a file from the database. So what he will do, he will say that he will click the button and get. Okay, so now what it will do, the get will send this whole request based on the request. Something like you can think about the request is like suppose http colon then localhost 4000 and the the image, and also the ID, suppose 9. So it's the request. Okay, so it's request sent only via when the user click the get button. So this request is coming inside the server, which we are going to implement it, and the server will say that, okay, it's coming the localhost 4000 and it needs an image route. So remember this word called route. So it figure out that, okay, I need a route called image, and I have to send this ID to the route, and then it will fetch the then I have to go inside the database, and whatever instruction I'm defining inside the route, then I can take the data from that database or from that file, and then I will send to the whole stuff to the browser, and then the client can see the image. So that is called the router. Okay, and for this whole request, so it is also a request. So this whole request you can see inside your console via Morgan. So Morgan will keep you the whole backend console. Console means like the logs. You can see the logs. We will see how what is actually the logs in the implementation, but now you just think about that it's only the logs file. And remember the route word. The route means that the path, this whole path. Okay, now we need also the codes. It's actually connection of what is said, like cross browser implementation. You can think about like cross browser means like you have a two API, so you need to connect. So two API is deployed in two hosted, so you can just integrate those two APIs each other. So you need a course. So why we need this course, I will let you know in the end of this implementation, because we have a nice API viewing library called Swagger. So we will use Swagger, so we can see that how Swagger, how can we connect Swagger with our REST API via this course. And then I think we need LowDB. Okay, now this is really important. Actually, for me as well, it's important. LowDB. I had this LowDB database name like few weeks before. It's really a powerful database, and it using not the cloud storage. It is not using any of the server storage. It is only using your own memory. So it's a lightweighted database which can actually use your address for his own database allocation. So it can just take a memory access from your system, and it just using this memory for your own database. So it's a lightweighted database. I am not using any MongoDB or Postgres because I actually lost all the free subscription last year, because I'm using like more than 1 year this all stuff. So that's why and the LowDB is actually using the your memory. So for our this API implementation, LowDB will help us to store our data inside LowDB. And we also need Swagger. I think I just wrote this package name, Swagger, and Swagger UI, and then I have Express. So this Swagger UI Express, it means this library can connect with Express server with the Swagger UI. Okay, so this is the, only a connector, because Swagger UI is not a Node.js library. So this is the connector, and then we have the final Swagger library. So it's called Swagger JS doc. This is the library which npm has in npm package manager. So let's start with these things. It will take some time. Oh, it's done. So you can see we have no issues. All packages are done to install. Let's see our C. Now important things is coming up. Here is the node modules which I told you earlier. See how many files it has. You can just lost if you just click one of the folder and see inside the folder you have a lots of folder. So that is the folder. You can think about that. It's a package. Whatever package you are using, the whole package is installed inside this node folder. So when you run Node.js, so Node.js is coming this package JSON. It's a script. He can follow this all script, and he can automatically detect your node modules folder. So whatever you are using inside this application, the libraries have the dependencies in dependencies name inside this package.json file, and the whole folder, like whole structure, all the files of the package are stored inside these node modules. So you can see I'm showing you only these things. Like see LowDB, it's a database. So you have that declaration in here. It's not like in here you do not have any folder. It's just the declaration that, hey, this application have a database called LowDB. So where is the LowDB? Let's go to node modules. If you go there and let's see about LowDB. Anyone can see that? Okay, MNOPQR. Yeah, here. So it's a LowDB. So this folder have the all instruction based belongs to the LowDB, and you only have the instance, or you only have the declaration inside this package.json. So whenever you run this application, what happened, the node is coming in here and he can see, okay, these things it has. Okay, fine. Now I know that what kind of libraries it has, then trigger the application. Then you go to the index.js file, and here you can just write your application, what instruction you need, just all this stuff, and it can trigger based on this instruction. So that is the basic start point of your application. All of you understood about this stuff? Or you guys are sleeping now? Are you guys there?
Yep.
Okay, great. Sometimes you have to say something like yes or otherwise I might be lost. Okay, so and now so this package.json is really important file. You have to, whenever you are working with a collaborative way, or you are just taking existing application and you want to run this application inside your own laptop or own machine, so you have to focus first package.json, that what kind of file it has. You know, I told you that in earlier that we are pushing our whole code to the GitHub except these node modules and this kind of stuff, because it's a heavy folder. We cannot put those stuff inside the GitHub, and GitHub give you the error that, hey, I'm not able to take this node modules folder. So how can Jenkins or how can any of the build tools understand that what kind of file you have? So for this, they're always going to this package.json. So you see, like in the Jenkins folder, a Jenkins file, you say that, hey, Jenkins, can you install Node? So he installed the Node. That means he installed the npm and Node as well. And then you say, here is my package.json file. So Jenkins will take the, okay, hey, Node, can you go to the package.json file? And package.json file will give you this all instruction about this project. So Node will go there and he see that, okay, here is a package.json. I can start this package.json, and he start the package.json, and he will have the exact same node modules inside a Jenkins. So you don't need to put your all node modules inside there. So it makes really efficient. It makes really easy to transfer, and it makes really comfortable for the developer as well, and the environment based application. So that's why package.json is really important. And what about this lock.json? Lock means you have to follow this all stuff. You cannot change anything inside this log.json. I'm not going through all this stuff because you see the package.json and log.json, there is a lot of differences. See how many files, how many instructions they have. One thing I can just tell you that this package.json, I told you that npm has their own package manager. So whatever you want to install in your application, you have to say npm, I need these things. So npm, what it will do, it will go his registry. So how can he find, because npm is in your local system, it's not in the cloud, it's in your local system. How can he trigger his registry? He trigger his registry via this kind of stuff, this all YML file and whatever you have in here. All these are the registry declaration. You can see everywhere is the registry. So this registry actually a cloud registry. You see all of this, the online URL. It's not like the local your folder URL. It's only the cloud URL. So what you will do, it will trigger this URL and then go there and take the file from the cloud and put it in your local system. So npm is sitting in your own local system and he is taking your instruction and he's triggered his own registry. Own registry means own URL, and go there and take the data from there. So that is one you can think about. They're actually using the registry API. So this registry API is actually giving the get data to the npm, and npm can able to install in your local system. So this one is some sort of API. So exactly not API, but you can think about it's some sort of API the npm is using. It's not API, some sort of API, because of npm has their own repository interconnection. So they don't need an exit API to go there. They only need the link, the URL, the endpoint you can think about. So that's why we need this package log.json file. And you cannot change anything in here. If you change something, the flow, it will break. You have to just remove all this stuff and then install again. Okay, now how if someone like your younger brother or your elder brother, they came here and they just suddenly change something in here and they save it. So how can you I mean overcome this error? So you don't need anything. You just delete this log.json file, and you just see that package.json how it looks like. So if it looks like good, then just take npm install and it will and before that you have to remove this node modules log.json, and just you say that npm install. Then npm, what it will do, it will go through this package.json and you have all these things in the package.json and it will install there. So you don't need to bother about if there is something happen. Now, if there is something happen inside the package.json, what you will do? Then you have to think about how many files you have and how many libraries you have. So then it might take some time to understand that how many files you have, how many libraries you have. Then you have to install those library via the package.json. So package.json and package log.json, this two files is really important. Well, let's start with our implementation. So first, what I need in here, I have to declare my server, because we are actually working now in the server. We are not working in the front end. We are working in the backend, server side programming. So we need a server. Server means who can actually have this all instruction and who can process this instruction via any of the request. So let's start const, and we have the express, and then we have the require, and then express there. Const codes. Oh, come on. Well, what I did, I just imported the my dependencies file. It means that I'm just saying server, or I'm just saying node agent that, hey node, I have these things. I need the express, I need the course, I need the Morgan, and I need lowdb in an instance of lowdb, Morgan, course, and express. So this is the variable I'm declaring in here, and this variable have the instance of this express, course, and Morgan, and lowdb. So this file within the double quotation, it's actually my library names. If you change anything in this library names, it cannot match the registry. So that's why it cannot pull the instruction from the lowdb from their npm registry. So that's why I just initialize in here at a pure name, which node can understand that what I'm actually going to do. And yeah, that's a pretty much of the declaration part. Let's start with our own file sync adapter. Now let me start with that. Const file sync, and then we need this require, and okay, now I want to show it's unexpected pop-up. Guys, did you see that the pop-up? The message that it's shown me that
Yes.
Visual Studio wants to go to the browser or some link. Why? Because of I giving the slash, because the library lowdb is coming from the registry. So that's why Visual Studio needs to go directly without npm. So that is interesting. I know you guys don't. Okay, so adapters. Come on, the spelling is good. And then I have my file sync. If I did some mistake on the spelling, please let me know. Const, and
I think you have to write ADAP, adapters.
P, right?
ADAP, yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Who did that? So that means people are watching actually. No, it's not an intentional mistake. So we need new file sync, and then now here is the point. What is actually this file sync? Okay, I declared my database in here. So that means lowdb has the instance of lowdb database. Now I want to use some files. You know, I mean, whenever we use any of the database, I don't know how many people, guys, you are using database, MongoDB or whatever database you have any experience or not. But whenever you want to use a database, you need a connector. So in MySQL, we have a MySQL connection. In Tomcat, or I mean, not the Tomcat, SQL Server. So you have a SQL connection. So anywhere you use an adapter for the connection of your database with your application. In here, we are using this file sync from the adapters. You see that the adapters. So it means this file sync will connect, because this LowDB doesn't have any storehouse inside the LowDB. It needs a file only. So that file you can just connect the file with your Express.js via the LowDB. So in here, I'm just only showing, I'm just only saying that, hey, okay, so I need this db.json. I'm saying that here is my db.json file. You can use this db.json file as a file sync. That means you can sync every time with this db.json file. So now LowDB can just relax about that. Okay, now I have my storehouse, which is called db.json. Now I just only need some instruction and I can put the data inside the db.json. So what I'm doing right now in the popular database, we have the connection. In here, I'm doing the same part. It's called the connection. Are you guys understand that part? No, I don't know. Well, so here is this, like the db.json. It's my file system where I should store my data. And here is the adapter who can actually connect my db.json with my application. And let's see with the other part, that is const db equals to, now I'm saying, hey, there is my LowDB, and we have to send our connection adapters. So I think this one might be clear for you guys. If you have any question, just write down those questions. And yeah, so my connection is done. So now I have to initialize my db.json file first. So let's start with the db.json. So db.json file. Perfect. So here I'm just no. So here is my object. So, oh, sorry, previously I have to declare that array. So, and then I have to, now it's an empty array. So now later I will just put the object over there. I will let you know when it will come to the same stage. Now, so my DB is declared. My all requirements is declared right now. So let's start with the initialization part. db.defaults. So I'm saying defaults. When you run the application, what will be your db defaults instance? So for us, it's like something like this way. Okay. So suppose okay, now let me our products, our collection name. Okay, now here is a point. Okay, let me start with the products equals to so here is the empty collections. Okay, now here is a point. What is actually the collections, and what is the database, and what is actually some tables? Now just remember that database, it's a warehouse. Now, you can't use the whole warehouse for your own applications. You can only use one collections or one table or two table or three table. So that's why now what I did, I make the warehouse db.json, but I need a one collection which is called products. So that is my collections. So then I'm just declaring this one, and then I'm saying dot write. It's an extension. It's an extension from loadv. So this is little bit weird thing from the loadv, because without write you cannot write your data inside the collections. So what I'm doing right now, I'm saying that it is a default one, and you can just go to the products and you can have that. Now currently it's empty, but whenever you have a data, you can just fill it and then write it. That means you just go enter and then write the data over there. So that is actually meaning of this write, but it has a lot of benefit for using this write. I'm not going to this part, but they can do these things another way, but I don't know why they didn't do it. Okay, now then we have to jump on our server. So we have const, then we can say app, and then we can say express. Nice. So, and then we have to use the instance. Now we can use directly the db in our separate file, but I want to use the express convention, so which is called app.db equals to db. Now the question is why I did this one. db in here, the db defaults and all this stuff, I'm just saying for introductory purpose to the node. Now what I'm doing, app.db, I'm saying express, it has a db instance, so my own db instance can merge with his db instance, then express can directly understand about the loadb. Here I'm just introducing express and db each other. Before that I just did node and loadb. Now I'm doing the same things with express and loadb. And then we have to use some middleware. Now what is middleware? Let me explain. 1 second. Use that we have a codes, and then app dot use, we have express dot json, which can convert the file to the JSON file. Okay. And then we have app dot use Morgan. Here is our Morgan. And now Morgan can give you the logs in a various method, within a various method. Like for the first thing Morgan give you, you can see that the combined, common, deb, short, and tiny. Combined means whatever request you have, the start point to the end point, the timing, the request handler, the header, the key value, the parameter, everything is included inside this combined. That means one request, it make like a 2-3 lines of code. Common, it means that what you actually need. Deb means that what actual request it has. And short and tiny is just splitting the rest of the things. Tiny means it's only just send you the method like get, post, or put, whatever you want to. So I'm going to the deb because I feel I only need the request, not the timing, not the header, not the app.json, or I mean whatever file extension parameter I'm sending. I don't need those. I just need only the request. Is it success or is it failed? So that is the one purpose of using Morgan. And then I am using my first route. Let's see. Use and saying that products. Okay, now I have to pass two things in here. One is my route. So you can see that is my route. And if any of the requests coming in this route or in this path, what I want to show. So that is my second parameter. So the second parameter is some sort of like product router. Okay. And then I have to now the most annoying thing in here is that where our Express server will run our application. Can anyone have any idea on this state? I don't think so. So I think the main point is that server is start, but server needs some address where he can put the application, because we have a lots of port in our CPU, in our own CPU server. So we need to use those port. So we have a number of all this port. So whenever you are starting your server, you need a port number where you can execute your application. So the port number is actually a allocation number in your local system. It's not for the cloud or hosted or whatever. It's only for your own port, own local system. So localhost means it can use your local IP or local address, and then for the local address, he went there, but he don't know where he should just serve the application. So he needs a port number. So if you assign the port number, it means that it just execute specific port number every time. So that is actually the listen. So we can say app.listen, and we can just assign a port number, and then we can say, hey, we can console it, console.log, and then say one second. Perfect. Okay, server is running on port Okay, now we have to define the port. So const port equals to what is the port number? Like just saying 4000. That might be good. Okay, and then I think everything is good. Now what we need to make our products route. Okay, so let's start with our products route. So let me make a file in here. Products out. Oh no. .js. Great. So what we will do, we have to take the request from index.js to this product routes, and the request is actually coming. The request is actually handling by server. So our server name is Express. So the thing is that we have to declare our server name in here, server instance, because we have to use this instance in this file. So what I will do, I will say const, and then I will say express, and then I will say require, and then I will say express. And then what I will do, I will take instance from the express, which is called router. So here is this express and dot router. Okay. Now, okay, I need to implement these things for a request. So now what I will do, I will make a GET request. Now just remember that our path is start from localhost. So see, it's just a side note. Our path is start. Whenever node is coming or express is coming in here, they already have this part, localhost colon http colon / localhost, and then 4000. So sorry, 4000. So they already have this. Now whenever they trigger this file, so they're taking these things, copy, and they're taking these things, and whenever they reach in here, they have this part with products. I think that would be I mean, that is the actual URL or the path line. Okay, so that means whenever any of the requests coming in this file, in this products route file, it already have this much of URL. So now I have to implement my GET request after that part. So my app, or I should say route dot get, and then I am implementing my whole stuff in here. So first of all, let's say my route is only the slash. So what will be happen? So if I say only localhost 400 products, nothing, then I'm just press the enter, or I'm just sending the request after products. So what happened? It will come here and it will see this only slash. So that means it will trigger this part. But if I'm saying router, or if I'm saying something like products, and then I'm saying that user, so what happened? This route file will not be triggered because it doesn't have the user. So if I make another router, which is like dot suppose get instance get, and then you have the user, then it will trigger this route and it will execute the file from here. Okay, so that is the interesting part. Most of the people, like the beginner people, they had a mistake, a great mistake in here, that they thought that what is actually the request is coming up. So remember that whenever you send the request, you have to reach that path. Otherwise, you cannot follow the whole workflow. So that is the one part. Oh, I'm just skipping this one in here. Now we need to implement our GET request. Whenever you have the GET request, so what you will do, what our application will do. So just think general way. Whenever you have the GET request, what you want, what you expect from any of the server or any of the request, you expect some data, right? So you need some data to show, like, like the browser always have the GET request. So whenever you go Google, or whenever you go Amazon, or whenever you go any of the like Netflix or whatever, you see the first landing page, the landing page will show you the items, the products. So how they have this, because whenever you just trigger the domain name, it just had a GET request to the database, and it pop up the all images or all product list in front of you. So you can only see the list view. So that is the important understanding of the GET request. So browser by default have the GET request. So whenever you send any of the request, it's actually going as a GET request. So here is the point. That's why I make this route for the initial GET request. See, I do not prefer any parameters in here. That means it's a default. Whenever you just land our page, you can see the product details over there. Now, when you reach this route, what the content you want to see. So this route, router.get, has a callback function. And the callback function is callback function has two parameters, rec and response. No worries, you can define based on your requirements as a request the whole sentence, or respond the whole sentence, or any other parameter. It's just a parameter name or variable name. So we have two parameters, one is rec and one is response. So what about this rec? Rec means request, which is actually have from the browser. So you send this request, suppose this request you send from the browser, and the browser, the Express server is coming in here. He said that, okay, I got this slash, I want to go inside, and I want to see something from here. So let's see what it will happen. Res.send, and then I have to show some, okay, 200, or okay, just hello, I'm here. Save it. Whew, lots of code. No, lots of code, just some simple things. So I believe I should run it. Let's see. Any file ID, I need to save, no. So let's start with the node and wait for a lot of errors. Node index.js. Yeah, we got an error. It says require const loadDB, require loadDB. Okay, let's go to that. So const loadDB, require loadDB and require. Not supported, but let me check one thing. Okay, now we have an error. Okay, so it says something is that loadDB doesn't support. Okay, so let me check what is actually happens in here. So I found that it's not supported. It means that this loadDB doesn't support this require. That means I'm installing loadDB 3.0.0. So this loadDB is the latest loadDB, which is actually used for Node.js 18 and more than 18, I mean 18.0 or the latest Node.js version. But I'm using the Node.js is 14 or 15 maybe, or 16 maybe. So that's why it says me this loadDB, it's not accepted this require. So what I will do right now, I cannot change my require. I can degrade the loadDB from 3 to the 1. So how can I do that? Let's jump on this part. So what I will do, npm install loadv. Where is this loadv? And whenever you want to degrade the version, you need to specify the version when you want to install it. So I need like 1.0.0. Okay, so here is an npm install loadv at 1.0.0. Let's try to start it. And you can see in here loadv is degrading 1.0.0. Now I believe it will work. I think so. I don't know. Now here is another point, products router. Yes, so it says products router is not defined. Yeah, I know that. This is the intentional mistake. So what happens in here? Guys, I'm showing this error because you have a lot of, when you want to implement any of the backend part, you will familiar with this error every time, because it's a simple error which we had a regular mistake. It says, just read the error first. It says here is an error. Okay, fine. Reference error. Yeah, reference error. That means there is something you are not referencing. Products router is not defined. It means that product router is not in the index.js. So here you can have these two proofs. One proof is that index.js can understandable by the node and the express server, but products router is not understandable. So that's why this products router had no sense for express.js. So that's why I have to declare it in here. So I say const product router. Let me just take this name, copy and paste. And then I'm saying require, and I'm saying that dot what? Okay. Dot, and then here you can find products route. Let's save it and jump onto our code and wait for another error. Very good. What is said? Express non-models express router. Okay. Now what happens in here? It says throw new type error router.use requires a middle layer function but got a get type. So it says, hey, you need a middle layer. So without middle layer you cannot use the products. 1 second. I use it. Okay. Guys, this is the interesting part in here, that I said this is my file. You can go from index.js and trigger this file products.router. So he goes there. You can just think about go there, and here he is say that okay, I have a lot of routing here, but you cannot export it. So how can I do not have any permission to show the visually because you didn't export it. So that's why I need to export it. Export means I'm saying module dot exports, and then you have a router. Then you have a router. Now what happened? I'm saying this router, which I'm having this extension from the express. Now I'm exporting this router in globally for the node, and also the express. And then node can see, okay, you're using a middleware, perfect. Where is the middleware? The middleware is in here. He go there. Okay, I found that module.exports. That means this router inside the express. So I don't need to care about this. If you go to the error, you can see it's throwing me an exception, that type error. You are using router.use. It means that you are using a middleware which requires a middleware function but got a get type. So it says that you are using a middleware, but you are not exporting this one. I just only get a get type. I do not have any modules which I should export it in here. So that's why I got this error. So now I fix it. Let's see. Wait for another error. Yes. It's also said what? Products route in 12 module.exports router. It says reference error. Module is not defined. Come on. Module should define in here. Did I use codes? Yeah, and then Morgan is here. Stores. Let me see one thing. Oh. Ah, now I'm debugging this part. What is actually that happens in here? Yeah. So guys, this is really a good experience things happens right now. That is our route have some issues. Okay, now when I'm trying to run this all stuff, it shows me error. So what I did, this is a really a good developer experience, that you have to debug first. So what you did, what I did, I go there, I saw I'm seeing that there is nothing happening here, but I will check it later on as well. So what I did, I firstly just comment in that I don't want to run this route yet. Then I can understand that is that anything wrong with my this services or not. Now it's running, and I can see that even you also can see that server is running on port 4000. So that means till this file there is no issue. When I'm trying to connect to this product route, then I have the issues. Okay, let's see how can we solve this issue. We have a products, and then we have a products router, or products router. Yeah, so require then dot products route. If you go there, you have this express.js and this one. Oh, you see, I misspelled. Guys, I told you that focus on my spelling. I have a lot of mistake in module or spell the English word actually. So save it. Oh no, not this one. Control S, and then you have to go there, just remove this one, and also remove this part, and Control S, and just try to get to, and yeah, voila, it works. Let's go to the server. Now, how can I check this? Local host 4000, and see, there is my local host. There is the local host 4000. Now, if I press enter, I can see the cannot get any slash. That means now what we will see, now we can see only this index part. So here you do not have any routing path, right? So you have to put the name underscore slash the products. So then it will trigger these products. Let's try this part. So slash products. Hello, I'm here. Well, you can see the first service is done. No, not yet. So I have to go to the, I think in this part we are okay for everything. Now here's a nice things you can see. This one is coming from the Morgan. You can see this get 400 and get products 200 Fabicon.ico. It's an icon part. So those things are coming from the Morgan. You can see. So it's a dev state. So you can just see only for the only inside the browser, inside your IDE, whatever you are using or not. Because sometimes what happen, you're directly working with the third-party servers, so you cannot see the server extension inside the server, because you have some restriction to go there. So what you will do, you will use Morgan kind of libraries, and you can see the response inside your I mean, not the response, the logs inside your IDE or inside your console. So that is coming from the Morgan. Okay, now let me shut down and cross it. Yeah, so it works fine. So let's jump on to our db.json file, where we can see our some data. Let's say I have one of my data list. So I'm just taking the data list from there. So here is this, no, not this one. So here is my data. Okay, let's see how to run this stuff. Node index.js server is running. Perfect. Go. Let's see our products. No. What happened? Yes, it says module.exports router has some issues. Let's go to our module.export. Here is module. Oh, you do not have any data in here. Oh no, it's not for that part. Okay, it's not for that part. Let's run in here. Let's see what happened with that. So node index.js. So now you can just see. Yeah, hello, I'm here. It's work. Okay, now I didn't send, sorry. I didn't send my data. So I have to send my data first. Then I can see my data inside my browser. So let's see. How can I send my data? So I have my request. Now I have to handle my request, not me. The Express servers will handle my request. So I'm giving the instruction, hey Express, you have the request and you have to go to the request dot, you have to go the request.app.db. So you remember that what is app.db? We are not working with directly the low DB. We are working directly inside the Express DB, and Express DB has the low DB instance. You see, in here we did it. So now what we are doing, we are just saying, hey app.db, then we are using low DB instructions. So dot, now we are saying that get. So what is our collections name? Products. So see, request.app.db, app.db, you can think about is a one database instance dot get. So it's a low DB instance you are using. Low DB dot get, that means get means you are getting data from the db.json. So db.json you are connected inside in here. Where adapter, yeah, here you are just connecting connected this db.json, this file in here. That's why this get request can have this products list inside, so it can have the access to go the db.json database and have the collection from there as a called products, and it can show me. Now here is a problem. The all things is good, and I can have the data, but I don't know where I should put the data. So that's why I need to make another variable called products or products item or something. What you prefer, just put the name. So here is the products, and let's try to put hello to get rid of this hello, I am here, to products. Let's see what happened. Let's run it again, go refresh it. Voila, you can see your API data. Guys, this is the important part of the API. So you already made your API. So what you need in one API, you need to get the data from other server. So Suppose you want to make application, front-end application, or application with based on e-commerce website. So you need this data, suppose. Okay, so what you will do, instead of making whole backend, you just only know about the front-end stuff. You are a front-end developer. You don't have any experience of the backend. So what you will do, you will search some APIs about who has these things inside the API. So you have this API URL, and you just use this API URL inside your project, and then you work on that. So now you have your whole data. Now you have to just design it, the front end, just design it, and then you need to, if you want, if you can filter it, like you only need name and category, you don't need the price. So you can just filter the price. You can just only have the name and category, and you can also update this data based on your local server, not the API server. Okay, so that is the power of API. So that is actually make the microservices flexible to work. So how? Because see, this is the product list, and you have a cart, you have a payment. So someone can just make the payment option and deploy the payment option, and they are giving their APIs to you. Say, hey, can you use my APIs for making your application? And you are using their APIs, and they have the big business. If you love their APIs, so you have to pay for more facilities like reading, writing, then writing, and then updating, deleting. So those stuff, and also the memory caching. There's a big point for memory caching. Some APIs provider, they didn't give you the memory caching. Some APIs provider, they give you the memory caching. So that is really important. So that is actually a meaning of API, that you are using third-party data for your own applications. So we successfully just make a get API, a get request or get API. You can see. So this is the URL, and you can just trigger whatever you want to use, wish to use. So I think for now it's good, and I believe you guys have a little bit of experience of this API. No, not done yet. We have to make 3 more API for this stuff. So, and one more thing, most of the case you heard the name REST API and the API. So the difference between REST API and the API is that REST API is actually a making of RESTful services. RESTful services means like this one is some sort of a RESTful services, because you are the owner of this API, and you also the owner of the front-end API. So you have the whole power to whatever you want to do with your APIs, whatever you want to customize your APIs. So you have the full power. So this APIs is actually called the RESTful APIs. Okay, so yeah, the exact definition might be different from my explanation, but believe me, the definition doesn't matter. Matter is that how you understand, how you work with this APIs or RESTful APIs when you need these APIs. Instead of saying what, you can just ask why. That is the relevant question. That is the important question for every developer, because the client never asks you what. The client asks you, how can you minimize my cost as an engineer? So that is the important, that why or how it works. So that is for us as a developer, we have to think about. So yes. So now my target is to make a put route and also delete update route. So let's start with the post first. One more thing, see, in here, for your application, you need the product details, and also you need a single item as well. Like you don't need to show the whole items every time. If someone click the product details, it only means that you only have one product to show for the details. You don't need to show all details of the product at the same time. So that's why we have another route called ID, product by ID. So get product by ID. So let's start with this route, and we have our what is called route, and then we are sending the ID. So how can we send our ID? There is a Node.js extension, that Node.js syntax that we can use it, colon ID. So it means that this route will wait for /ID. It means that when you want to run, so you have these products, and if you send 9, so it means that it has the ID. So this route will trigger this one, the 11th number of route.get. It's not triggered the 6th number, okay, because it has the ID. So it's only trigger only one item. So now how can you configure this one? So let's start with the same thing, request response, 2 parameter, and then you have this one. So here is the point. How can we have the ID first? We have the value. We need only one value. So how can we do that? Obviously we need the handle the request, and then we have to go into the DB, that means database, and then we have to find the data based on our ID. Now, in general, we can thought about this is our ID. No, it's not the correct syntax for us. So what we will do, we will make an object which can send to the database. So the object is ID, and sorry, the key is ID inside the object. So whenever you are writing second bracket, it means that you are actually initializing an object. So I'm initializing an object, and then I'm saying ID colon, it's a key. Then I'm saying I'm just declaring my ID. So how can I find the ID? I have to find my ID, that request dot params dot ID. So here is the important part. What is params? Params is parameter. It's coming from the parameter. So whenever you have the request, it means that you have some of object key. So it's like request.body, it's an object key, request.params is an object key. So these things you have it on your from your browser request. So I take the ID from the params. So request.params.id, and then I have to say that I don't want only the ID. I also need their value. It is really I mean, it's something look like what we did in the index.js, the write. Okay, so it is only for the LowDB that he can assign that what you want to do. Do you want to get the reading option, or do you want to get the writing option, or do you want to get the value, or only see the value? So that is actually I'm saying that I want to see value. So specific ID, then value. So whatever it has inside this ID, like the value, it will show us. So now I know that if I say ID, so it will just take the ID and store it in one of the variable, like I say const, and const is like a product, and then equal. Okay, so that's product. If I remove this value, so it means that it only have the ID. So I don't need only ID, I need the value. So that's why I put that dot value. Now I have to send back res dot send, and you have product. No, product. Control save. Let's run it and see what happened. So, you know, we have a products. Let's see, we have one. Okay, let's try to send one. No, nothing happened. Let's see what is the issue. Now we have the response in here. See, we have the response in here. Why we are not getting the value? Because of const rec app.db find id rec.params. Is that correct? That value sounds good. I think I should put one more things in here. So ID. Let me check this one. I don't know if it will work or not. Always. Oh, here is another issue for browser. We will check these things in one more API testing tools, which is Postman. I will see in later on. Maybe. Now I believe it's work. As the spelling is good. Let's see. Okay, I can test it by saying just only hello or something like this way. So let's the request is not going there. So so let's see console.log, then product p, and then plus product. Okay, save it. See, then we have this one, and let me send a request product. Perfect. So what is our see, p is undefined, so we are not able to see the data from here. So what is the problem? Value const app.db. This is not good. Okay. Let's see that the ID is this value. Still undefined. Okay. Okay, I will check this in the Postman later. Let me just make this other routes faster. Router dot post, and then we have the post body. So we need post body in here. So when you have the post request, so it's something like this one. And so you, okay, now let me tell you about the post request. Post request is means that get, it means you can take from the server and you can see inside your browser. And post means you just bind something, you just like package a body or a file from the browser, and you want to send this file to the server. So if you want to send something, it means you need post method. If you get something, you need the get method. So that is the purpose of like post. So if you have the registration page, so the user can just register everything, and you just say that submit. It means that the whole data it's sent to the server. It means that the whole data is actually a post method. The whole data is going via a post method. So that's why you need this post router. So what is actual this post router definition? So we have these things. So we need request, comma, response. And inside you need to make a body in here. So let's start with const product, and this product is an object. So what you will do, you will make this ID colon, and then here is that one thing is that, so what is your ID? So I made the db.json file. It's my own record. I didn't made it by this application. So it's my own record. So in here, I want to make a new record like this way. So I have to put the ID, the name, the category, and the price. Okay, so for this, I need this product object which have this instance, this name or this key. So what I will do, I will make ID. So for this, I need a library called nano ID, and this nano ID has a length length is like 8 digit. So what is actually this ID, nano ID? Nano ID is a library from Node.js which can make ID for you. So you don't need to put manually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It will make the ID for you, which has 8 characters, and it can show you. It can identify your data. So it's some sort of like the primary key for your data. So now, and then we have our body of the whole data. Now, the data, if I say in here that name colon, and then if I say some names in here, so it's called like statically you are using your name, variable name. So I cannot do that. I have to take those data from my browser. So my client will send this data. So for this, I need to take rec or request dot body, request dot body. Now here I'm using a spread operator. What does it mean by a spread operator? It's the spread operator is actually holding everything. This 3 dot is actually mean the spread operator. So this spread operator, what it will do, it will receive all these things from this rec.body inside a rec.body instance. Okay, so that means if you have the product, so product have this ID. So rec.body, that means rec.body, it has name, price, category. So spread operator define that, hey, product, you don't need to care about rec.body. You can directly access my name, price, and category. So product.name, you can have your name. Product, you can have your product name. Product.category, you can have your category. Product dot whatever, like price, you have your price. So you don't need to bother about this rec.body because of this spread operator. So that is the good way to explain it. I mean, declare it. So now I have my product instance, so which has my whole request body from the browser inside my server. So now I have to store these things. So the same rec app.db dot get, and then you have your products in here. Products. And then dot push. So push is a properties from LowDB, and you are pushing this product. So copy and paste, and then you have the write. I told you that why we need this write, because of the reading, because of the storing stuff. And now you need to send the response dot.rec and response dot send product. Now here we have to take care of one important thing, because the post is coming from the browser. Let me just change this one first to copy. So we can check our body, request body inside our server, but it might happen like you are doing two things from the browser. It means you are acting in a cloud or internet, and then your server will take the request and process in here. So you are trusting the server. So sometimes server might be down, server internet might be down, the request might be gone. So you might have some issue with your request. So you have to handle exception from the server. So how can you do that? So we have a nice method called try catch. Oh, what I did. So for all this stuff, you can just assign it in here. Copy. Oh no, not copy, just cut it. Just assign it in here. And then you can assign one more method for error. This error is actually belongs to the server. So error, and then you have your own return stuff. Return response dot status 500. So 500 means you have a server issue. I mean, server down, server doesn't have time to check your request, this kind of stuff. Okay, so if you have any issue with that, this catch will trigger. So let me put it as a nice way. No. So yeah, so that is the purpose of using try catch. Well, I think the post is done. Let's see to, okay, now how can I check this post via browser? I cannot do that, right? Browser only have the get method. So for this, we need the Postman. So this Postman will help us to use to check our APIs, like the post APIs or put APIs or delete APIs. Get we can check in the browser, but the post put we cannot check in the browser. So that's why we need Postman or there is a lot of tools actually. We have Swipe UI, we also have, and CRUD we also have. We can check the request via CRUD. So I'm using Postman because it's popular and easy to use. So let's start with our server and see. Let's check first. What about our products? It works fine. Let's check our products by ID. Where is that? Okay, just copy that and let's see. Copy. And try to send one. Yeah, we cannot see that. Okay, now let's see. Okay, so yeah, suppose I'm sending a new post request. So it's like only the MacBook, and so I think you guys know about how to use Postman, or if no, then just simply you can download this Postman as like the Node.js. How can you do that? It's like postman.com, and from there you can just download Postman. Where is this? Yeah, in here you can see download desktop app for Windows, Mac, Linux. So whatever you want to use, you can use from there, and it's pretty straightforward. So now I'm trying to send this post request. So in here, how can you do that? So you have this route, localhost 4000 products. You can choose your post method, action method or method for your request, that it's holding a post request, get request, or put request, or delete request. And you can see there's a bunch of requests in here, a bunch of method in here. So I'm using post, so I'm just selecting as a post, and then you can go to the body, and you can see in here that you have to select. By default it's selected as a text, but you can select it as a JSON, because our file convention is a JSON file convention. And then you can try to write these things. So let me say is a PC, and then price is like more cheapable price, like MacBook 2000 SEK. So I'm not giving the extension in here like SEK or whatever, because this SEK or this extension is actually holding via the front end. So that's why, because you don't know actually how, I mean, the front end people are from the USA, Sweden, or India, or Bangladesh. You don't need know about that part. So everyone have their own currency. So that's why I just put this API as whatever you want. So let's start with the send request. It says nothing. So where is my, okay, so let's say return in here. Let's see, return. I don't think so return will work in here, but yeah, know that. So you need to declare this product copy and const v. So there is the product. Nope. Oh, it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. So you just need to send the product. So let's see. It's a product post request. So it's coming in here. Yeah, I need to install Nano ID, though this cannot work. So npm install Nano ID. Is that Nano ID, right? Const Nano ID equals to no ID. So require Nano ID. So you have Nano ID in here. That's good. So install. It's done. Let's start again. Yep. So you can see the data in here. So here is the benefit of this Nano ID. See, it's always different. So if you want to see actually what we have, you can see in here. So let's send a request first. So you can see what is our post request. So TT80. Let's see where we have TT80. Voila, you have TT80 in here. Let's see our database. Where is our database? Our database in here, db.json. Do you have TT80? Yeah, we have TT80. Perfect. So it works. It works. Let's see what happened with our ID. So just copy one thing, copy, and then just copy the ID, and then we have to send that ID in here. We can't see anything, but the request is good. Ah, come on, where is the wrong in here? Return. Let's see these things. Control C. So no worries, I'll fix it later. So okay, first I have to finish that, and then we will check what is actual issue. We will debug it. Then you guys have the new experience with the how to debug it, which is not actually a planning. So, and we have now that the update, which is called put. So router dot put, and then you have the routing path. So our routing path is that colon ID, and then we have, and also that break, comma, response, and then you have to, as same as like you have to find in here, you have to update your data, right? So this put is a little bit tricky. Why? Because in this put, you have to get your data, and then you have to update your data, and you have to post again. So you are working with the two methods, like get and post inside the put. So that's why you need some extension from some process from the post, and also some process from the get. So what we will do, first we need to handle the try catch, handle the exception. So here is the process of exception handling. So exception, it means that actually the error part, that if server is not if server is not working or server is down, then you have the exception. So that's why I put these things in here. And then try. So inside the try, what you will do, you will hold the request which already have in database. You are not putting a new record, or new user or new product. What you are doing, you're just having the request, you're just having the existing data, and then you are just updating this data. So you need to take the data from the database. So request app dot dv, and then you have the get request, and then you have to explain the products, and then you have find, and then you have this object which is id colon rec dot params dot id, and then you have dot. Now you have you have your all data in here. Okay, it's similar to actually the first id, get 11 by id. I don't know why it's not working, but now you have the id data in here. Instead of the value, what you will do, you will assign a new value. So assign dot assign is a function, so assign, and then you have your request dot body. So where it comes, where the body is coming from, it's coming from your browser. So you have request dot body, so you have data in here, so you're assigning this data in this id, in this id products, the same id products. So and then it's just assigning is done. Now you have to overwrite. So how can you do this? If it is overriding, that means you need a write. Yeah, that's pretty much of this updating part. Now you have to send back this data to the client, then client can actually know about what is going on. rec.app.dv.get and then you have the products. Then find id dot rec dot params dot id. So I believe it's good. So let me finish the delete as well, then we will check it. Router dot delete, and then we have the path called delete. Oh no, so we don't, we just need only the id, products id, nothing else. So colon id, and then we have again the callback function rec comma response, and then we have these things. So delete means remove from the database. So what we will do, we will same thing, we will have this data dv dot get from the products and then you have the remove function in here, remove, and so remove means remove function is work like based on your id object. So you have your id and then request dot params and then id. Now I have to convert these things into string because you know our database, in our database we have our id in a string. So whenever you press the number, it's actually we are pressing actually a text or a number. So we need to convert it. This is in a string because LowDB actually doesn't have the dynamic changes. Like whenever you have your text, it doesn't means that the text is actually the string for LowDB. So that's why we need to put. I believe that the same thing happened with the the get ID product, but I will check it later on. Now here is our toString, and then I believe it works. So one thing, remove it, yeah, and then I have to write it again. Right. Yes, I think it will work. Then I have to send back that request request dot send, not request, it's a response dot send status, and then it's a 200 status. I have to send 200 means, guys, successful send, and 201 means you are successfully posted, and 500 means server is down, server is gone, there is a issue on the server are not able to reach in your request. And if you have a 400 request, 400 response, that means server is okay, server is good, but server is not finding your data inside the database. So there is some issue with your request. Server will tell you 400. It means that you have to check your request, that you are sending a perfect query, perfectly API URL, or your server URL, or I mean instruction, everything is good or not. So 400, remember that 400 is actually a database issue. It's not a server issue. 500 is a issue for the server, and 200 is a good response, like it's a successful response. And 201 is actually it's a post. I mean, you are posted something, you are updated something. So 201 means you are updated, or you are posted, or you are created something inside the database or inside the server. So that is something you have to, I mean, it's a basic knowledge about the developing side. The people who are working with the server, they actually have to know this kind of stuff. So I believe it's good. Let me check everything it's work or not. Hopefully, otherwise we will get the issue or error. So I believe this one right now. Let's see. Yeah, every data we have in here, it works fine. Let's try to get one data in from, okay, one is here. I don't know it will work or not. No, it's not working yet, but let's see later. So let's try to put another let's where is tele2, it's a category of mobile, and you have suppose 5,000. Let's try to send it. It works, and let's try to update something. So for updating something, what you will do, so let's try to update which data we should update. Let's try to update this one, MacBook Air to MacBook Pro. So let's try to update this one, MacBook. Oh, it's the same thing. Let's try to do one more. So okay, iPhone 11 Pro to iPhone 11, or on the iPhone. So try to take this one and put it in here. And what is this? Just take this all the stuff, copy, and here just paste and remove this one. So we don't need the ID because ID is already mentioned there. So we don't have a power to change this ID. So 11 Pro to like 413, mobile 2,000 to 50,000, 20,000, wow, 50,000. and then send it. So it works 50,000 and perfect. I think everything is good. So let's see our database that we have this ID and we see that this is updated or not. So send it again and we have this here, and yeah, iPhone 13 it works, mobile it works, and 50,000 perfect. So let me delete the first one, this first one. So what I should do, I should say one, and okay, yeah, 200 respond. Let's see, we have this one or not. Perfect, it's gone. There's only one issue we have, this get request. Okay, so let me debug it. Guys, give me a response that are you boring or are you feeling bored or?
No, it's quite interesting.
Yes, because it's unintentionally happened. So let's see. So we have this get request response and this product. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. Let me do this. So router.get is here. Perfect. So we have the /:id. Nice. So we are taking request and response. Perfect. And then we have our product. Okay. So product is good. And then what we'll do, request dot response, no, request dot app dot db dot db dot find, and then we have our object, which is id colon rec dot params dot id, and let's see dot value, and then it's work. It looks like it will work, but see. Mhm. Okay, let me search something that low db find error.
says undefined, right?
The
But-
find function is not working, so that's the reason. But it works in here as well. Oh, okay.
Only get by ID.
Yeah. I found it. What is the issue?
Okay.
What is that? You know, come on. People have to do something. I don't know. Let's try.
Yeah.
Come on. I'm doing the same thing, but I do not declare the collections in here. So how can he find it? I mean, if he has mouth, then he will give me a slapper. So whatever. Okay. So yeah, everything is works, and this is the Postman can help us to test everything for the API. Now how many? Oh, it's a. How long will you have time? Like 8 minutes, 9 minutes, Jagdish?
Yes. 5 minutes. We should wrap up.
Okay, so I think I will show you the Swagger in the next session, maybe, because I have to. I mean, I had the preparation of that. But yeah, guys, if you have any question, shoot me. I think this is the stuff I want to show with you. So if you have any question, if you are not sleeping right now, then you can ask me the question. Anyone? Everyone understood? Go
Yeah.
ahead.
So guys, for now, the put, post, delete, get APIs are implemented, and get also we implemented two. One is get all products and get product by ID. Now APIs are implemented. The backend part is implemented, and in the next session, for the QAs, for the test engineers, we don't actually. I mean, developers can create the API URL by looking at the backend code. But for QAs, they need documentation, API documentation. So API documentation is automatically generated by using some libraries. So we will see how the API documentation is generated, the Swagger UI is generated with the backend implementation, the whatever the code that Rizal has written, that we will see first. And then we will see how now we can add a product using the APIs, we can delete a product using the APIs, we can see a product using the APIs. What we can do, we can, instead of using the APIs, we will use the front end and perform the same actions. So when we click on some button, a backend API is called, and that perform action, that action will be performed. Like when we click on delete button, delete action will be performed. When we click on add product, add API will be called. So these are all the things we can see. But yeah, if you have any questions, you can ask. Otherwise, we can wrap it up.
Yeah, guys, I'm expecting a lot of questions.
So our audience are mostly QAs. So if it was developers, we would have more questions. I think it makes more sense. I mean, for them, it's more than enough to understand how it is implemented rather than how I can implement.
That's interesting.
Okay, then
so one thing you guys can tell me that how was this? Is this a boarding session or?
No, it was good. Actually, we came to know, like as Jagdish said, most of them are QA. Like I'm also QA. So we were knowing, but not in depth. Like we didn't bother about it. That's what I attended. Like I was curious.
Yeah. So it doesn't matter. Maybe a programming, the programming language used will change while creating APIs. So some developers may use JavaScript with Spring Boot as a backend, Java with Spring Boot as a backend to implement the same APIs. The API looks similar for you, localhost 4000 and /products/ID. It looks similar to you, even if I implement the same functionality using Java with Spring Boot or Python with Django or .NET or you name it. Doesn't matter. The API looks the same. So this is how the backend developers build the APIs.
Yeah.
Cool. Then we'll meet next Sunday, same time, to cover the remaining topics in the agenda. So this will be very useful. You can even watch the replay. The video will be in YouTube. Watch it. It requires some patience. Not everyone will join the session and stay here for 3 hours. It definitely requires patience, but it's totally worth it. So see you in the next session. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, see you
Thank
later.
you very much.
Bye, everyone. Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.